First time James heard that scream was when he first moved to the village. It was long and drawn out, echoing over the houses and fields and fading into the night. It didn't sound like an animal or a person, but there was something terrifyingly alive about the sound. James stepped out onto the porch, looking around. The night was calm. Fog lay along the road. The faint light of the lanterns was lost in the thick darkness, but there was no one. The scream disappeared, but it left behind an unpleasant feeling, as if the night itself was breathing, as if something was waiting. The next day, he asked the locals about it. "Did you hear that sound?" Everyone in the tavern instantly fell silent. Someone looked away. Someone nervously squeezed a mug of beer. Finally, the old man at the window sighed. "You hear it now, too?" James frowned. "What was that?" "Nobody knows," the old man answered, "but everyone hears it." "And no one tried to find where it was coming from?" The silence stretched. Finally, the old man shook his head slowly. "Some tried, and?" The old man didn't answer, but his empty gaze said more than words. Those who searched for the scream never returned. James couldn't get rid of the sound. Every night at exactly 3 a.m., it cut through the silence, causing him to wake up in a cold sweat. The scream was long, filled with despair, as if someone was calling for help. It came from somewhere on the outskirts of the village, but no matter how hard James listened, he couldn't figure out where exactly it was coming from. The locals refused to talk about it. "Just don't go out at night," the innkeeper advised him. "But what if someone is in trouble?" "No one is in trouble," James didn't believe it. If no one was in danger, then why didn't those who searched for the source return? And why did everyone avoid discussing it? On the 6th night, he decided to find out the truth himself. When the first scream sounded, he quickly grabbed the lantern, threw on his jacket, and went out into the night. The scream sounded again, echoing in the fields. Now he could clearly hear that the sound was coming from the direction of the forest. He walked along the road leading to the edge of the village. The air was cold and damp, and a chill ran down his spine when he realized that the village behind him had completely disappeared into the darkness. He was alone, just him and the sound. And the further he walked, the stronger the feeling became that someone was following him. But when he turned around abruptly, there was no one there, only thick night, and the scream, which was now very close. James froze. The scream was now right in front of him, muffled, drawn out, piercing. Whoever made it must have been standing a few steps away, but the lantern illuminated only emptiness. Fear squeezed his throat. He wanted to turn around and leave, but his legs did not obey. The heat of his breath turned to steam, though the night was not that cold. The air changed, as if it were alive, stretching, waiting, and then the silence exploded. The scream, now unimaginably loud, was right inside his head. James fell to his knees, clutching his ears, but the sound did not stop. It did not come from outside. It came from within him. Something tore through his consciousness, pulling at everything that made him James. The scream became his voice. His mind sank into nothingness, stretched out into an eternity of sound. And now he understood. He understood what had happened to those who tried to find the source of the scream. He understood why the villagers did not speak of it. He understood that now it was his turn to wait for the next curious person. Morning came. James was gone. But as the clock approached 3, a new scream echoed across the village. Another voice joined the ones calling from the depths of the night.